Hello and welcome to another episode of Promine Tip of the Month. In this video, we will see how to construct a 3D bench, schedule tasks, insert mining blocks, and then insert a Gantt chart. So in here, I have a model of an open pit, and what I'm going to do is display the contours of one bench. So let's turn off all the layers. And display the contours of just this one bench. So we will see how to construct this bench right here. So we're going to create a layer called bench on which we will insert that 3D bench. So to do that, click here and then name the layer bench or 3D bench. Now what we're going to do is essentially create a flat mesh on the upper contour and then a second one at the bottom. So go to 3D bench under modeling, and then click on Draw Surface. Now this will display a window to configure that mesh. So first we're going to insert our mesh on bench, and then select the contour. And then for the elevation points, since we don't have any elevation points, we're going to pick none here so that we can get that flat mesh. And then for the method, we're going to leave it by default. Hit OK, and this will create a flat mesh on your upper contour. Now do the same thing for the bottom one. Go to Draw Surface, keep it on bench, pick Contour Polyline, click the bottom one, and then none for elevation points, and default elevation method. Now that we have both surfaces, we can now link them together to create a 3D bench. So to do that, go to Construct Bench above 3D Bench, and then follow what's written in the command line. So the first thing to do is select Bench Top Surface. So we're going to select this one here, and then the bottom one. And then put that on the bench layer. So this will construct our 3D bench by linking the top and bottom surfaces. The next step would be to slice this bench into parts, assuming that we follow the cycle of drilling and blasting and then loading and hauling. So first, create a layer called scheduling on which to insert our scheduled tasks and mining blocks. And then go to top view and then draw a closed polyline on which you want to slice this bench. So I drew one here. And then I'm going to draw another one here. And then I'll leave this remaining piece as the third slice. So right above solids, we have this command here, slice solids. So click here and then click on the mesh to be cut, enter, and then click on the closed polyline. This will cut this mesh into this closed polyline here. So anything that's inside this closed polyline will be sliced. So let's do the same thing for the second one. Click here, enter, and then click on the closed polyline. So now we have three parts, 1, 2, and 3. And this is what we're going to use to create our Gantt chart. So now we can get rid of these polylines and then go to Engineering 1. And above Mine Planning, we're going to click on Insert. And in here, we have different types of objects that we can insert. Drift is mainly for underground mines. Tasks refer to things like drilling and blasting, loading and hauling, exploration, etc. Mining block refers to any block that has a specific tonnage of ore or waste. So in this case, we'll start by creating a task. And in here, I have a list of the tasks that I configured in the options. So we're going to start by drill and blast. We're going to insert the title block near the bench section that we want to assign this task to, and then give it a name of bench section 1. We're going to give it a duration of 10 days. The type will be drill and blast. Otherwise, we can configure anything else. We don't have any predecessors. We're going to start this on January 1st, 2021. And for the calendar, I'll choose this vacation calendar that I, once again, configured in the options. And for the actual progress, we're going to leave it to 0%. Hit OK, and we will have these items displayed here. Again, this is configurable in the options, but essentially what I want to display here is the task type, the task name, the duration, and the start and end dates. We're going to do the same thing, but for the mining block now. So click here, and once again, I configured this type of mining block in the options, which is 10,000 tons per day. Click here, hit OK, and once again, insert the title block near the bench section that this is assigned to. Give it a name of mining block 1. The type, we'll leave it at 10,000 tons per day. The default rate is what I configured in the options, so I just named the type the same as the default rate to make it easier to relate. For the tonnage, instead of calculating the tonnage of this specific section here, what I can do is say pick, and then under volume, I can say pick, and then click on this bench section here, and then hit enter. This will automatically extract my total volume corresponding to this section here. I'll give it a fixed density. Otherwise, if we have a block model, we can import the densities from the field here. But in this case, I'll leave it to fixed. Hit OK, and this will calculate my total tonnage, which is in this section here. I can assign grades. So I'm going to add a gold value of 3.5 grams per ton. Hit OK. Now for the predecessor, I want to make sure that this mining block is extracted after I drill and blast. So what I can do here is say pick, and then select this task here. Now this will make sure that this specific mining block will only start after this task is done here. Again, for the calendar, I'll leave it to vacation, and for the actual progress, I'll leave it as 0%. And then click OK. And we can see that in here we have our mining block information. So I've already created the 2 other tasks and the 2 other mining blocks corresponding to the 2 other bench sections right here. Okay, so now I want to make sure that this second drill and blast does not start before the first one, and that the third one does not start before the second one. To do that, go to Edit, click on the second blast, and then add bench section 1 as its predecessor. And you also have the option to add a delay start. So here I have 1 day, so that after this is done, we will start our second drill and blast 1 day after the end of this first section here. We're going to do the same thing for the third one, and we will add bench section 2 as its predecessor. And we want to make sure that it starts as soon as possible, and we will also add a delay start of 1 day. Click OK. So now I also want to make sure that the second mining block does not start before the blast is over, and that the third one does not start before the third blast. So we're going to click here. We're going to add a predecessor, which is the second drill and blast. Click OK. And then we're going to do the same thing with the third one. We're going to assign it a predecessor, which is the third drill and blast. And set the date type as soon as possible and no delay start. Okay. So now that we have everything configured, go to Reports, click on Gantt chart, click OK, select all of the mining blocks and tasks, and then hit enter. Now in here we have different options. First, you have the option to set the time division. So this can be daily, weekly, or monthly. In here, I see that I start on January 1st and I end on March 13th. So it makes sense to set it to weekly. I'll leave the division width and the item's height by default. The output type, I can insert a Gantt chart in the drawing, and I can also export a CSV file. But in this case, I'll only insert it in the drawing. For the date range, I'll leave it to automatic. So this will start on January 1st and end on March 13th. For the annotations, I'll display the date and duration, and you also have the option to configure the colors of the tasks and mining blocks. And I'll also show the progress of each task, but in this case, because we don't have an actual progress, we didn't start anything yet, so there is no need for this option. And I'll put this Gantt chart on the scheduling layer. Hit OK, and this will generate your Gantt chart. So you click anywhere to insert, and as we can see here, we have the timeline at the top. So we start on January 1st and we end on March 30th. So in here, we see that we start with the bench section 1, and then it goes to mining block 1, and then it starts the drill and blast of the bench section 2, and so on. So this is how you configure a Gantt chart. And to print this, I can go to Essentials, create layout, set a scale, set the orientation to landscape, and for the main grid, I'm not going to insert any, and I'm not going to insert a north arrow either. Hit OK, and then set the title block to be approximately within the center, and then click Continue, and this will generate your title block at the bottom. You can enter your information here, and then hit OK, and this is ready for print. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please feel free to leave it in the comment section below. Thank you.